features. And I've been talking with Male to just sort of get a lay of the land of the conversations you've been having and like what these kind of features mean for this MVP. I'm still going to break it out by like the main inputs that go into it. And that's kind of what I'll walk Alan through next week with some changes sort of at the end. But the idea is just really aligned that this is exactly what we think this thing needs to do sort of as we get going. I'll just hop into like the actual content that where this is changing or what's been updated. So again, we're really looking at like the audience info, performance data, and vehicle features as these like main inputs to this tool. So for audience inputs, like today, this is again, the collection of sort of background docs provided by client and media, different sort of sources depending on the nameplate. For the MVP, we're really going to take what audience information exists and extract it into data sheets that we can leverage. So those sort of like line items or tasks there is extracting the client provided audience into those sheets. Like strat and data will basically identify the elements we want to extract into a template. And then we can leverage AI to sort of automate that extraction. There's going to be, not all of these are going to look like this. So we'll basically just go in and sort of create a template that we think works. There might have to be a few different templates. I'll help with that. But we'll extract sort of what we want to pull from there. And all of that audience info is essentially going to be applied at a nameplate level. A few considerations with this stuff is that in these client provided docs, there's some like overarching personas that aren't necessarily at a nameplate level. If we look at like this little screenshot here, go to present mode. This is like speaking to truck buyers. There's like a 1500, 2500, etc. And then they have even like, this is called the behavioral blueprints. There's like 4 kind of like, you can call them like psychographics a little bit or elements to this. We'll just have to think about how we kind of structure that in the template we extract. It'll ultimately mean that, you know, this will be assigned to the 1500, 2500, 3500.
Right. Yep.
That's just one thing we'll have to work through. In terms of like future phases and the audience inputs, at a future phase, we're going to begin to incorporate essentially external data sources. And that is the like GWI inputs or like a few of the sort of strongest pillars we were talking about. Does that seem accurate? When Mally and I were talking this week, or sorry, last time we talked, we were thinking about maybe some GWI pillars could get brought in at this stage for the MVP, but I think we're going to hold off on that.
That's fair. I think that's good with everybody else.
Yep.
Super important to circle back on that. I think that'll really distinguish, you know, this thing. Like in the case when we don't have, say, really strong audience, you know, outputs from the client, or even at pitch, like if you want to use the thing for like a pitch, something like that. That's GWI is just the easy button. We already have it written out too.
100%. I think like these audiences are pretty stagnant. It's like they're given from clients. You have to use them. But yeah, the idea would be to definitely bring those in, and that will be where I think a lot of like the value is seen in this thing in future stages.
Perfect.
Yeah, so for you know, Maura, we also talked with Nick and Liam last week. I think you weren't there. That this part of the GWI was part of the phase 2, and this one should be like easy to do.
Cool. Yep. Awesome.
From a performance data input perspective, so today we've basically got how well or poorly particular banner placements performed. We get these served to us across sort of like 3 to 4 messaging pillars, like, you know, safety, performance, etc. And we can generally see that data in terms of the messaging pillar, whether it's endemic, non-endemic, lower funnel, kind of upper funnel. For the MVP, we're essentially you're just going to be incorporating examples of what's worked or like the top performing messages and their creative examples. That was coming out of discussions that we've had, not really a point in drowning it with the negatives right now. And we've also made some assumptions in terms of like how relevant some of these breakdowns are going to be. So in terms of like action items for this, analytics basically and strategy, identify a top performing message and creative to be inputted. We will do that at a nameplate level, sort of like, I don't know, 1 top performer and creative example per each. And then we do not think we need a breakdown by like funnel stage, endemic, non-endemic, etc. There's not really going to be a significant like change in the output of our messaging for lower upper funnel, that's going to matter. And endemic versus like non-endemic is really just kind of visual. It's like, you know, is there a lifestyle kind of background to this or not? But really, so extracting.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Stop there. I just want that since Alex is here, just to double check with him if you agree with that. I think that you were already doing it, like in the Word document when you add all the different messages, like the top performance messages, and how you were. I know that I can say this big, but just like training the tool. So I just want to have your input as well in this one.
Because right now it currently outputs like T1, T2 messages like that are slightly different. So yeah.
So we can like talk about that. I think Mally and I were talking about how like in the current state on business, we don't like, do we see a big difference between like lower and upper funnel messages that we serve? I don't think so. They're almost the same, are they not? So it could be.
Like the same in what way? Like it's the same in terms of copy or in terms of targeting?
The same in terms of copy right now, I'm pretty sure. Like lower and upper funnel.
Like there could be more, like a bit of a difference though, in terms of usually like lower funnel is more action driven, like trying to get them to act more. So if we do identify a need to kind of go down that line, it might be worth having it.
Like, is there a difference in terms of how our like lower and upper funnel creators
The call to action that we set to them, like
CTA only?
CTA.
Okay. All right. Well, so I'm not opposed to that then. I think that could be one of the benefits of this being an AI tool at this point, right? It's like at scale, we have the time to make small nuance changes between lower and upper funnel messaging. I could see that if the CTA is different, and Alex, you're saying that you do see like a nice sort of nuance between upper and lower funnel messaging, we could bring that into the MVP. Does that complicate anything else that we're maybe not thinking about?
No. From my angle.
Yeah, just be how we tune it. So like any T2 stuff would just be tuned to be more action driven copy.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there could be like guidelines and per level. Yeah, that actually might be a really good idea, Alex.
I like that. And that's in line with like some other guideline stuff that I think
Right. Yeah. I mean, we could have a whole guidelines are interesting. You can have like a whole config file that pulls just all the guidelines, all the guardrails in one huge config file, just to kind of get technical for a second. And then each area of that file can be pertinent to a specific input into the model, into the intelligence itself, and that generally takes care of itself. We can also weight them really high, so like we can tune on the there's a lot of things we can do there. That's definitely a good idea for sure.
John Victor shared the preview links, and if you see the same message but different call to action. It's the only thing that we have right now that differentiate them between upper and lower funnel. So it's good that we have a new feature for that.
Okay, perfect. I like that. I think that's a good thing to bring in here.